Okay, so this is going to be a quick review of the Inkbird ITC-308 with Wi-Fi. And this is a device for controlling and monitoring the temperature of your fermentation chamber, or I guess any other device that you want to set up that you need a different temperature range. I'm going to do a little bit of footage, a roundup of what's included, and then film some footage of the Wi-Fi signal at my parents' house, mainly because that's where I kind of intend to use this. And had this been out sort of like 6 years ago when I started brewing, I think it might even be longer than that, to be able to monitor the temperature away from where you actually brew, if you don't brew there, is a fantastic thing, I think. It might seem quite novel to some people and almost unnecessary, but for me it's a kind of an important feature to kind of set my mind at ease. So, as it is, the box is quite small that you get the device in, which also means that the device is very compact. My early temperature controller, I forget the name of it now, is quite a bulky unit. A lot of extension leads coming off of it. This is kind of as compact as it can be. It comes with a little hole at the top there, so you can attach it and screw it onto the back of the back plate or the wall or the fridge itself. The temperature probe itself is at least 2 meters long. I've just given it a quick measure. The end, it's got like a stainless steel probe which you can put into your thermo well. I have asked the manufacturers, and apparently it's IP68 waterproof, and the whole of that is food grade, so it can go directly into the beer. They do say that you should maintain it by obviously cleaning it after it's been in the beer and that. I know some people have reported that earlier models and some other temperature controllers that the probe does degrade after being in the beer. Whether or not that's a factor of the alcohol in the beer or just general use of anything degrading over time, but they assure me that it is waterproof, so you could put this straight into your beer if you wanted to. Personally, I tend to stick them to the side of the fermenter. I've never had any issues with the temperature range of that, but if I had a thermo well, I've seen other people just pop it straight in and it will do the job. And then quite simply, you have a socket for heating and cooling. So cooling, you would have your fridge in there or your cooling device, and then the hot side will be your, like in my fridge it's a tube heater, some people use like a light bulb, various things. And then the device itself has current temperature of that you've set, that you want it to be. So currently I've set this to 19. It's reading the temperature on the end of that probe at 24. So it's got the cooling side on, as you can see. It's got the little green light now. I'm going to bring the camera over so I focus down a little bit, because I know it kind of flickers sometimes when it's on video. And what amazed me the most, I did set this up originally because I'm in my flat at the moment. I set this up quite easy to connect to the Wi-Fi, very simple. The pairing, and then you've got everything on the app. Was that this has been unplugged and disconnected from that Wi-Fi, so it must retain the last Wi-Fi it's connected to, because as soon as I plugged it in, it picked the Wi-Fi up instantly, which I thought was a fantastic feature, considering that's an alarm saying that the beer has gone higher than 25 degrees. I'm going to have to turn that off. Let me adjust that actually. Okay, so I could have just probably pressed the set button and it would have turned off, but anyway. So you can have a high temperature and a low temperature, so that if it goes obviously above that, or to that point, an alarm will sound. It also sends an alarm to the phone so that you can heed the warning and go and sort it out. The only thing I would say with that for me would be I think it's great to have it on the phone, but the device itself beeping like frantically would mean that if I was away from home, it'd be driving the neighbours mad and you'd hear that beeping. I'm not sure, I haven't seen if there's a way to turn it off on the device and only have it on the phone. That would be cool. As it is, I think I'm going to set it to quite high, and I know that my fridge is pretty good and it will maintain that temperature, but I kind of like the fact that it can alert you if something's gone wrong. But I guess with beer, if it's kind of crashed and the fridge died and that, there's not really going to be a whole heap you can do. But I guess for something that was more paramount, and detrimental, if it was like say controlling the temperature of, like myself, I have snakes, who was controlling the temperature of their environment, that would be quite an important thing for the alarm to sound. But as it is, I'm not sure you can turn it just off on the device and have it on the phone, or I'm not sure, I haven't seen that. So anyway, I'm going to hover over the device in a minute and just show you some of the settings and show how easy and responsive it is from phone to the controller. And also the phone doesn't need to be on the same Wi-Fi connection obviously as the device, so perfect for me. I can have this at my parents' house, be at work, monitor the temperatures. Previously I used to be like sending, when the warmer weather come along, I was a bit worried. I used to phone my mum and say, can you go down to the garage and check that the beer's okay, and she'd read the temperature that was on the, you know, on the wall and that on the LED display, and then text me back. But now having it on the phone is just, you know, that's ace for me, I think. Reasonably priced, I would say as well. I certainly paid a lot more for my device when I bought it years ago, and it wasn't as kind of well built, compact. That's what I like about this. The lead's quite long from the actual plug socket. It's probably 1.5 meters. And then the devices are going to have a lengthy enough cord on it anyway to connect to it. It's compact, it's the right size that it needs to be. Hopefully you can see this. It pretty much mirrors, so this is telling us the temperature that will be connected, or that the probe's attached to. So at the moment it says that it's 23 degrees and that the cooling's on, because our set temperature, which is down here and also displayed here, is at 19. So it's trying to bring that down to that 19 degree mark, which at this point in time it's not going to be able to do because we've got nothing plugged into it. Let's just get that back on. So if we go into the settings, I'll just move that to one side a minute and zoom in on that. Right, so heating differential, I'm going to change that to 0.3 for each one. This is the high temperature one, so this is where your alarm is going to sound if it exceeds that or goes below it. But like I say, I think for me, I don't think it's ever going to go above that, so I'm going to set that quite high, and I'm going to set the low one probably to about 11. The refrigeration delay is what's on most temperature controllers to allow for the compressor, if it's cycling between off and on, it can screw up the compressor in a fridge. So that's like that 4-minute delay. If there is a temperature fluctuation before it will switch the cooling side back on again, there'll be that 4-minute delay to allow that to happen without having any detrimental effect to the actual refrigeration unit. Temperature calibration, I believe you can actually calibrate the temperature probe to make sure that it's reading the right temperature. I haven't actually done that. I mean, I would advise that you monitor the temperature that the probe's saying and use your own thermometer and then go with that. Temperature switch is obviously Celsius and Fahrenheit. And then back, if we change this, say we want our beer to be, let's go extreme, let's go 28 degrees. Then it's going to change, and now it's gone to a nice orange colour to say we need some heat, because we're only at 23, we need to get to 28 and get the heat. And if we go back down to 15, go back to blue, and we need the cooling, and that is instant. As I say, very easy to connect to the Wi-Fi, and instantly connected back when I unplugged it and then plugged it back in a week later. So there must be a kind of retention of the memory, which I think is perfect, because for me, I brew a beer, I'd take it off, I turn the temp control off, having to renegotiate connecting to the Wi-Fi, although very easy, is another time saver. Here we have trend chart and temp, where it will show you the fluctuation. The only thing I think you cannot do on the app, I do believe that you can connect it to things like, on here it's got Alexa, Google Assistant and IFTTT, and I believe you can control them through them devices. The only thing I'd probably like in the app, for me, because I don't have any of them things to connect it to, would be a temperature sort of schedule that I could set. If I wanted to do cold crashing, I could set the beer to ferment at a certain temperature for a week, then bring it up if I was doing a certain beer, like I was doing a wheat beer and I wanted to gradually increase it or have it quite high and then cold crash it. It would be awesome to do that all on a schedule. I guess you can just do it from your phone yourself, but to be able to type that in, I guess it's very dependent on how well the beer's doing, and you know if it has fermented out. This, in conjunction with other fermentation devices like the tilt device, would be excellent, because you'd be able to kind of set that schedule and affect it. Maybe at some point in the future those two things will integrate with each other. But as it stands, I think it's a great bit of kit. My last bit will be to see the Wi-Fi range at my parents' house, where I really going to utilise it. It will be quite a distance. I understand that's kind of pushing it to its limits, you know. Okay, so I'm going to finish my review of the ITC-308 Wi-Fi temperature controller. I was hoping to have some footage to add on to this, where I tested it at my parents' house, but unfortunately, and this is not through the fault of the device itself, the distance from where the refrigerator is to where the Wi-Fi unit is in that house is like over 60 feet. I kind of paced it out, and unfortunately it just wouldn't pick up the Wi-Fi signal. It told me on this that the Wi-Fi signal was poor. And I guess that's pushing it beyond the realms of, you know, possibilities, and that's not the fault of the device. You know, it's only going to be as good as your Wi-Fi. So that was a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping to be able to do a brew round there and a brew at my new place when I move, but it will still work as a solid temperature controller, and it's definitely going to work in my new house. I'm guessing really what you need is a Wi-Fi extender or something. If you've got poor Wi-Fi signal, that's kind of down to you really to kind of make that better. That's not Inkbird's fault. I can't really fault it. I think it's a good device. I've got to admit, as a roundup, I love it. It's a great size. I think the price is fantastic. I paid well over what this costs originally when I got mine, and it has like longer cables. The temperature probe isn't as good as this, and obviously the Wi-Fi control is amazing. The only thing I think that I would possibly like, I mean, I can't see that there's the option to have like an automatic temperature kind of like ramp up. If you're doing a certain beer style, you'd have to control it yourself. That's not really a major issue for me. I can't see it being for most people, but it's easily something they could add into the Wi-Fi software later on. The only thing I would say that I would change possibly is that when you have the maximum temperature and the low temperature, so that it sounds an alarm both on the device and on your mobile phone. That is great, but the only thing I find with that is you can turn the alarm off on the device if you're next to it or pressing any of the buttons, but if you was away from home and you're regulating it and you're checking it and that alarm goes off, it's going to sound on your phone, but it's going to keep beeping in the garage or wherever your device is. And I would like to be able to turn the audible alarm off on the device, which is fine if you're there monitoring it, you know, you can have it on, but dismissing that alarm on your phone does not dismiss the alarm on the device. The only way to bypass that is to set your higher temperature threshold so that it then kind of stops the alarm. That's the only thing, I guess, because for me, if it was in my garage, I'd be concerned that my neighbours are thinking, what is that alarm going off? It's going to keep continually beeping. So having an option maybe to be able to turn the audio off on the device and still have an alert on the phone would be a good option. I could be wrong. If someone wants to correct me and it's in the manual and I haven't seen it, maybe there is an option for that, but for me I couldn't really see that. Again, it's not a major issue, but I guess if you're looking to have that kind of audible alarm, you know, and you're not there, that could pose a problem, I guess. And that's it for me. I mean, really, it's a solid device. It really is. It's going to get a lot of use in the coming weeks, I can tell you that. And I'm also looking at other Inkbird products. I have reptiles myself, and I've even thought of a couple of their devices that I would need for another animal that we're possibly taking on. So I'm kind of looking at other stuff that Inkbird do. I think they're doing some good products, and it feels well built. It feels solid, and I do love that the Wi-Fi setting was like retained again. Like, with having it turned off, you know, if you're not doing a brew, switched it back on and it instantly picked up the Wi-Fi and connected. You know, there was no fussing around, and even when you do connect it, it's very quick, it's very sharp. It's not a lot of hassle at all. So I rate this quite highly. I think it's a great to be able to have that Wi-Fi control and even the graph, the kind of temperature graph to monitor things. And I guess as well in the future, you know, coupled with, I don't own one myself, the tilt kind of fermentation device that you can have in your beer. Maybe Inkbird will produce one of their own, and they could, you know, kind of feed off each other and give each other information, and then kind of, you know, adjust temperatures and whatnot. That would be a great thing. Right. So, if you need temperature control, then I think to look no further than this product, because I think it's absolutely fantastic.